Take this job and shove it.
This is Mike Baumgartner, and you are listening to Jobcast Radio. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Worklife Survival Center and your host and your resource to finding, getting, and keeping your job. If you've got a problem with your boss, if you've got a problem at work, if the company's trying to railroad you out of something or they're making you do something that just doesn't feel safe or legal, give me a call, 304-867-4142. For those of you who do not have jobs, give me a call also. I can help you get your resume together. I can help you with your interviews, with all those things that you need to do, those secret little tricks and traps that can either get you or get you kicked out of a job. My number, 304-867-4142. Again, 304-867-4142. You can also shoot me an email, mike@jobcashradio.com. Check out my website, again, jobcashradio.com, where you will find articles, blogs, videos, this radio show going back several years with lots and lots of information about whatever it is that you've got going on in your workplace. And again, feel free to give me a shout, shoot me an email, mike@jobcashradio.com. I will not put you on the air because I know that a lot of you are afraid that your voice will get recognized and your company will retaliate. And I'd love to tell you that is not going to happen, but it might. Let's talk about it. Again, 304-867-4142. Anytime, 24 hours, 7 days a week. This is free. We don't charge anything. Why? Because I really want you to get back to work. Because if you work, the economy goes up. If the economy goes back up, everybody makes money, and things get a heck of a lot better for all of us. Remember, 1 in 10 of us out of a job, 2 in 10 of us in a miserable job that we don't want. And if you're young, there's a lot more of you out of work. And if you're old, there's a lot more of you out of work. So let's get you to where you need to go. I do know that things are turning around. The economy is turning around somewhat. People are getting jobs. That's good. That's great. I am thrilled to hear that. But one of the things I am also seeing is that, unfortunately, people are blowing it in their interviews. I have an opportunity, with a lot of companies. I talk to a lot of HR people. I talk to hundreds of recruiters a month about what's going on in the industry, and people are calling me, hey, do you know somebody who's good for this, or you know for somebody who's good for that? And honestly, people try to recruit me, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But I am also noticing that I'm getting a lot of feedback that many of you have been out of work so long, you're blowing the interview. You're asking questions you shouldn't be asking, and you're not asking questions that companies would expect you to be asking in an interview situation. So I went out to the web and I looked to one of the sites that I also post up on my webpage, an organization called DoStang. DoStang.com. They have a nice little article about outrageous interview questions by Elisa Benedict. And it really helps, and we'll put this up on my website, jobcashradio.com, questions that are outrageous that you should not be asking an employer, not during an interview process, and I'll tell you why, and then some questions you should be asking. Because honestly, remember, getting a job, this is like a first date, and at the end of this first date, you get married. That's what this interview process is about. Now, you may have a couple of days of interviews. So, okay, you have a first, a second, a third date. That's fine. But you're going to meet the crazy uncle, the aunt, the boss, who will be essentially your work spouse. And if you blow it, you're not going to get there. Or if you end up getting the job and you end up in a bad marriage, again, not a really good thing to have happen. And they expect you to, hey, look, I want you to succeed in this. So here's some things that a lot of people tend to do that are happening more and more often. Number 1, don't ask about the pay for the job. Don't ask about salary, not in the interview. If you want to do that on that first little quick screening, what is the rate on this job or something like that, then shut up. Okay? Now, they may make you an offer. They'll probably make you an offer far less than what you think. That's the whole negotiation part. We can deal with that separately. But every candidate I know wants to know the answer to this question, but asking it makes you sound desperate. Don't ask about the money, because if you're focusing on the money, you're not focusing on the job. You're basically saying, what kind of dowry do you have? What kind of insurance do you have? What am I going to get from you? Not a good thing to ask. Most companies look for your ability to separate your desire for a job to what it is you want to make. And let's not get it. That is not a good first question you want to ask. Another thing, which I do not, if you get a phone call from a company that you've applied for, you better know what that company does. Do not ask in the interview. Do not ask on that phone call, what does your company do? If you don't know, fake it. If it's an unexpected phone call and you weren't ready for it, that's fine. Tell them you have to go to the bathroom, the kid's puking, whatever it is, get off the phone, go over, Google them, find out what they're doing. Because if you don't know what they're doing, if you haven't done your homework, they've already done their homework on you. They've read your resume, or they know about you. They know more about you than you know about them. You are done. Do your homework. It is going to be incredibly impressive if you can get in front of the person who will be your boss and talk to them about their divisions, about their product lines, that you know about their latest press release. You know what their last earnings were. You know what their stock price is that morning. That is stuff that you should know, that they want to know that you're interested in, because that shows them you are interested in the job. Don't doubt me on this. This is absolutely critical. Another thing, do not ask in your first interview. And honestly, you do not ask this in the first 60, 90 days in the job or longer. Don't ask them what their typical promotion practices are. Now, I get it. I understand that everybody wants to know what is the potential for a job. And it actually is not a bad question to say, this is a great job. What are the opportunities that are here? And then shut up and let them explain that this job will train you to maybe be the next job. But don't ask them, hey, do I have to be here 60 days before I can post for another job? No. That says you don't want this job and you're just getting your foot in the door and you're going to probably work really, really hard, but you're bailing. I don't want to hire somebody who's going to leave my department 60 days from now. Why? Why should I go through the aggravation of training you so that you can then go work for somebody else? Rushing ahead to promotions may make the interviewer question your judgment and understanding of appropriate business interactions. So says the article, so say I. And I agree with this. Do not ask, again, about on-the-job training for things you should already know. Basic skills. If this job requires that you know Microsoft Excel or Microsoft PowerPoint, you don't ask them, do you give training on Microsoft Excel or PowerPoint or any other kind of tools? You do not ask them if they give math classes, if it's a math just don't. Don't. Now, you can ask them about training that you would not be able to get. I mean, if you work for like an airline, okay, if you work for the travel agency, you need to learn Sabre or some other systems that are the ticketing systems. Will they train you in this? That's understandable. But if the job says you should know it going in, no, not a good question. Don't ask about on-the-job training, basic skills. All it means is that, again, you ain't qualified. Also, big no-no, and I say that I can't tell you how many times. I don't care how miserable you were on your last job. I do not care how much your boss stunk. You do not speak bad of the company. You do not sit there and say, well, they were done shady business deals and their books were all cooked. Even if they were, who cares? Do not speak bad about the company because you will not get the job. Why? Because if you quit them, they're going to think you're going to be spilling the beans or whining or crying or ruining their reputation. Reputation, honor is still necessary in a job. Do not speak ill of people you have worked with. If you disagreed with them, you can say, look, we had a disagreement, but I'm not going to speak ill of them. Don't get into that. And above all, do not forget in an interview, simple, basic manners. Okay? Offer a handshake to seal the deal when you leave. Thank the interviewer for their time. Express your pleasure with meeting them. Show them that you appreciated the conversation that you had with them. Just be polite. Remember, it's a first date. And if you're going in there and you are unwashed, unkept, and you're not being gracious, and you think that you just deserve the job because you're not going to get the job. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Remember, this is still the American Idol of the job market. You are one of 400 people, and they're going to narrow it down to one. And you want it to be you. But if you're bad, if you're rude, if your personality is horrible, and you ask bad questions, not a good idea. Speak positively about the past places you've been. Every phone or email contact, you treat it as though you were a part of an interview. If somebody shoots you an email from the company and asks you a question, you're polite and just make everything part of the interview. It's a first date. You really want to impress them. Make it happen. You can do it.
Take this job and shut it.